Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vincent Russo of the Theresa Alessandra Russo Foundation, and we're thrilled to be providing this webinar, Theresa Pooled Trusts, Enhance Client Solutions with our Theresa Pooled Trusts. Today is November 18th, and I'm glad that you're all here for this webinar. The speakers today will be Elizabeth J. Einhart. She is the Executive Director and Vice President of the Theresa Foundation and Theresa's sibling. And we're also joined with Danielle Urcioli, the Executive Director of CLC Foundation, as trustee of our Theresa Pooled Trust. Today, we've invited all of you who have been supporters of our Theresa Pooled Trust in the past to bring you an update. Now, a couple housekeeping items here. Attendees will be automatically muted. You can send questions in the Q&A box, and you can also chat with messages as well. After the webinar, we will send a link to the recording to you via email, and there'll be a very brief survey at the end. If you can stay on for an extra minute or two, we find it very helpful to get your input. So today we're going to break this into three parts. We're going to give you a quick update on the Theresa Foundation, then give you an overview of our current Theresa Pooled Trusts and update you on those trusts. And then the last segment will be reviewing trust administration of the pooled trust by the CLC Foundation. All right, so I'm going to pass it on to Lizzie to bring us up to date on the Theresa Foundation.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you all for being here this afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Einhart, and I'm the Executive Director of the Theresa Foundation. I am also Theresa's older sister. And so I'll give you a little bit of history and talk about our mission for a bit of the Theresa Foundation. So we were formed in 1992 in memory of Theresa Russo. And like I said, Theresa is my sister. Theresa was born in 1986, and she had multiple disabilities. She had cerebral palsy, microcephaly. She had a seizure disorder, and she lived and thrived for 5 years at home with my family. And when she passed away, the foundation was formed shortly thereafter. Our mission is to touch the lives of children with special needs and their families. And we do that by supporting programs focusing on art, music, dance, drama, and recreation for children with special needs locally and around the country and even internationally. And we chose that mission because Theresa was very responsive to music and movement, and it brought a lot of joy into her life. And we want to bring that to other children like my sister. So on this next slide, this is a breakdown of our grant program. So the grant program is the cornerstone of the Theresa Foundation. These are our numbers from 2024. We support, like I said, grants that support programs in art, dance, drama, music, and recreation. In 2024, we provided over $122,000 in grants to 32 programs across 11 states and 1 country outside of the United States. And you can see even further, we've broken it down into category for you. You'll notice here that recreation is just under half. And I will speak to that. Recreation is a very large category. It incorporates our summer camps for children with special needs, as well as after-school sports programs, programs like the Special Olympics, therapeutic horseback riding, and the like. So it encompasses a large grouping as well as life skills and respite program support.
Lizzie, could you touch on the Theresa's Fun Place?
Yes. So In addition to our grants, we also have the Theresa Fun Place, which is an adaptive park and playground on the grounds of CP NASA in Roosevelt, New York. CP NASA is home to the Children's Learning Center, and that is where Theresa did go to school in her lifetime. And they currently have over 200 children who use that adaptive park and playground daily. And so the Therese Foundation is committed to maintaining and um, upkeep of Theresa's Fun Place, which was named after in memory of Theresa there. So this is a look back from 1995 to 2024, and we do have 2025 numbers. So I'm confident in saying here that the Therese Foundation has provided over $3 million in grants to date, and that spans over 235 programs, 31 states, and 6 international. So we have grown from the early 90s from a grassroots organization into what you see here today, providing over $3 million in support to programs for children like my sister.
Lizzie, can you touch on the Theresa Academy of Performing Arts, which we had for a number of years?
Yes. So, as I said, we support programs, and for a time, for about 15 years, 10 to 15 years, we decided to create our own brick and mortar program on Long Island, New York. And we called it Teresa's Academy of Performing Arts. And it was a facility in Lido Beach where we provided music, dance, yoga, summer camp, art, music classes like keyboarding. We had a black box theater and put on productions, and children came to our facility to receive direct services. And ultimately, we did close down the Theresa Academy of Performing Arts and put the funds that we were funneling through there into supporting other programs across the country and locally in New York.
And I think the decision behind it was that we could reach many more children by supporting programs as opposed to putting money into mortar and brick. And so we really exploded, I think, in the number of children we were helping.
That's exactly right. I think it was like we could reach thousands more children per dollar. So, and I just, those are the numbers. So I wanted to take a moment here and talk about the kids because that's what the Teresa Foundation is all about. We want to support the children, and that's why we do what we do. So, just to bring to life to you some of these programs, I will just say the top middle photo is the Ambassadors of Friendship. And this is a grant that was provided to Morgan's Wonderland, which is a inclusive, adaptive amusement park out in Texas. And it is the only one in our country. And this was a drama grant. You'll see 4 mascots right here. They're the ambassadors of friendship, but they have many more ambassadors on site and mascots that require different costumes. And so they needed some money for updated costumes. Some of the costumes needed ventilation and such because they are in Texas and it gets hot. What's phenomenal about Morgan's Wonderland is, like I said, it's a fully inclusive and adaptive amusement park. And so children across the country can go there. If you have a child with special needs, they have free entry to this amusement park and they can have an experience like their typically developing peers at an amusement park, riding rides, just like everyone else. And they get to share that with their family. And when they're there, they get to see other kids like them. And if you'll notice, the ambassadors here, they have some different abilities as well. And so they get to see others reflected in the characters reflecting themselves, which is representation really matters. So that's a really beautiful program that we recently supported. The bottom left is also Morgan's Wonderland, but this is a summer camp, and you'll see a wheelchair user high in the treetops doing an obstacle course because they should have the same experiences as their typical developing peers. The top left corner is a child who is a participant at the Michigan Arts Center. And this is a program called Club Create, and it's an art program, an after-school program. And she's there doing some art. And in the top left, this is the National Dance Institute. They have a dream program and they do inclusive dance programming. And so that's a dance grant on the top left, and they're in New York. The bottom is therapeutic horseback riding out in North Carolina. So you'll see in the faces of these children how important it is to be able to participate, to have no limits, and to show up and have these experiences. It's incredibly enriching. And so our Theresa Pooled Trust makes that possible. And your support is vital in keeping these opportunities available to children across the country. So thank you so much for taking the time today to be here and hear about it a little bit more, and for your referrals and your support.
Thank you, Lizzie. And I know you covered a lot of ground very quickly, which is we're very busy all over the country. But I will say that the majority of our grants do are expended in New York, and so the residents of New York who are in our Theresa Pooled Trust, their residuary monies are what we're utilizing to keep these grant programs going, and Teresa's Fun Place, which is near and dear to us. So, with that, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the Theresa Pooled Trust. We have new Theresa Pooled Trusts that we want to, and we're very excited about them and want to share this with you. So, there are three types of pooled trusts that we currently have with the Theresa Foundation. The first is a Theresa Pooled Income Trust. This is a trust that's typically utilized by older adults who are on Medicaid home care and have excess monthly income. So they want to keep that excess monthly income and be able to use those monies to stay at home. And so the Theresa Pooled Income Trust allows them to do it. An individual is allowed on a monthly budget under Medicaid $1,820. So once they have more than that amount, that is what's called excess income, and that money can be protected and then utilized for their benefit. And so vital program, I would say the majority of our beneficiaries are over the age of 65. But it could also be helpful to someone who's under 65, disabled, and on Medicaid home care. The second trust is the Theresa Pooled Asset Trust. And this is a trust that's really focused on those who are under age 65, who have assets and need to access government benefits, such as Medicaid or Supplemental Security Income, SSI. How do they have these assets? Well, it could be someone was working and saving and created wealth or assets in their name, and then they were in a car accident and they now are disabled and in need of government benefits. It could be a child who's developmentally disabled and someone left an inheritance directly in their name, or there was a medical malpractice settlement. And so these are situations where it's important that the assets be protected for the benefit of the beneficiary while maximizing government benefits. And that's where the Theresa Pooled Asset Trust can come in and do that for them. And then the third, which I think is a hidden gem, and is the Theresa Third Party Community Trust. And this is for parents in particular who want to leave assets for a child with special needs, a child who's on government benefits, and you want to leave it in a way that the assets and income can supplement their living, enhance their quality of life while continuing to access those government benefits. And that trust allows for really professional trustee management. Many families find that they don't have a trustee that they're comfortable appointing, and our Theresa Community Trust can really fill that void. What's interesting in the overview is that with the Theresa Pooled Income Trust and the Theresa Pooled Asset Trust, there is a requirement under Medicaid law that there be an SSI, that there be a payback provision to Medicaid when the individual dies, with a major exception. And that exception is that if that trust provides that the funds can be utilized for beneficiaries of the trust, people who are disabled, organizations that utilize those funds to support people who are disabled, that the residuary amount in that account when the beneficiary passes away can then be utilized for those purposes I just mentioned. And this is where, in the past, for many years, we've had our Theresa Pooled Trusts managed and funds, those residuary funds, passed on to the Theresa Foundation for charitable purposes under the laws of the United States. So those two trusts do have a requirement that there be a payback, with the exception that the charity can utilize the funds upon that individual's demise. The third trust, the Theresa Community Trust, does not require a payback provision. So that trust can say when that individual passes, the beneficiary, that the funds can be utilized for other family members, other individuals. There's no requirement for a payback. So that's an important distinction with the Theresa Community Trust. And I know how in my private practice of elder law and special needs and estate planning that so many families struggle with how to leave those assets in a protective way for their loved one. And the community trust can really do the job here. Now, I'd like to give you quickly a little background on why we have three new Theresa Pooled Trusts. So prior to February of 2024, these trusts were managed by the Center for Special Needs Trust Administration as a co-trustee with Key Bank. And unfortunately, in February of 2024, the center filed for bankruptcy. There were issues as to the management of certain pooled trusts and special needs trusts by the center. The court intervened and ordered a transition of the Theresa beneficiary accounts. We had approximately 500 accounts set up for beneficiaries in our Theresa Pooled Trust. And the court ordered a transition of those accounts to a new trustee, or beneficiaries had an option to opt out and they could select, for example, the new Theresa Pooled Trust to continue to service them. I am pleased to say that all the Theresa beneficiary funds in those sub-accounts have been accounted for, and no one was harmed in our Theresa Pooled Trust by the actions that were taken by individuals inside the center in the mismanagement of funds for pooled trusts and special needs trusts that they were trustee of. So sadly, though, many people were harmed by those actions. In our world, the Theresa Foundation world, we were fortunate with oversight and with the co-trustee being Key Bank that we were able to maintain the financial stability for all of the Theresa beneficiaries. So knowing that this transition occurred, it was time for the Theresa Foundation to form new Theresa Pooled Trusts, the three that you see and I've discussed. And so in 2025, we created these trusts, and we were so excited and thrilled that we made contact with CLC Foundation, and they have stepped in as a trustee on day-to-day administration of our Theresa Pooled Trust, and we brought in Argent Trust Company as a co-trustee. So we've got really sound professional individuals and entities involved in the ongoing Theresa Pooled Trusts. So I'm really thrilled about that. And also, I can share with you that Medicaid, HRA, New York City Medicaid, has approved our Theresa Pooled Income Trust and our Theresa Pooled Asset Trust. There was no need for an approval with regard to the community trust. So we are approved by HRA. With that, I'd like to take a couple minutes and share with you our website. So I'm going to have to come out of our PowerPoint and bring up the website. Okay. So we have a dedicated website for Theresa Pooled Trust, and this is the home page. And you'll see that there's the income trust, the asset trust, the community trust, as I've discussed. And on the toolbar above, you'll see About Us. So if you want to know more about our Theresa Foundation and what our activities are or how you can support us, you can just click on Theresa Foundation there. And if you want to know more about our Theresa Pooled Trust history, we have that as well. The next tab, Our Trusts, we have landing pages for each of the three trusts. We also have a landing page for the former Theresa Foundation Pooled Trust of New York. As I said, that trust no longer is in existence. Then the next tab are trust documents and forms. And I'm going to click on that in a moment. And we'll spend a little time going through how you can utilize the forms as you speak with beneficiaries or individuals who would benefit from joining our Theresa Pooled Trust. We have resources, we have an FAQ, and a Contact Us section. So if we click on Trust Documents and Forms, you'll see that if I want to enroll in the Pooled Income Trust, there are a series of documents here that you can click on, and that'll walk you through how to establish a sub-account inside of our Theresa Pooled Income Trust for that individual. At the bottom is a master declaration of trust. That's the actual trust agreement. The instructions will just bring you to a place where it just walks you through in very general terms how you need to complete the forms and where to send the forms in. And so that's in the very first step. Joinder agreement is all important. So every beneficiary has their own sub-account where their monies are segregated from an accounting standpoint. And so the individual knows what monies are in the account available for their benefit. And so the joinder agreement connects the terms and agreement of the beneficiary with the trust itself. Then we have a fee schedule. So the fee schedule just outlines how the fees would be charged for the administration of the trust, and there's a one-time opening fee of $150. We're very competitive from a cost fee standpoint. All right, so if I wanted to open up a Theresa Pooled Asset Trust, I could walk through the forms here. If it's a community trust, you're going to want to contact us and we can discuss how to establish that account. And at some point in the near future, we'll be also listing the documents here where you'll be able to click on it. Okay, let me go to just resources quickly. Documents and forms, relevant links. We have brochures. So if someone was interested in, you wanted to just give them a brochure, you can click on here and you can pull up any one of the brochures. And this is something you could just simply download and give to someone who's interested. considering our Theresa Pooled Trust. All right. Contact us. This is really an important page for all of you. You can email us with any questions you have. You can call us. And so if it's regarding the pool trust, we would recommend that you contact the clcfoundation.org. And Kaylee Myers is the point person who works under the supervision of Danielle. And she is awesome. And so we pride ourselves on providing the highest quality of service. So that's our website, and it's easy to find, theresapooledtrust.com. All right. I'm going to
I'm
bring the
sorry, that's .org.
.org. I'm sorry, .org. Thank you. All right. So with that, I just want to let's bring the slides back up. Okay. And I just want to reiterate what Lizzie said at the end, that the pooled trusts allow funds that are remaining in the account to meet the exception, not be used on the payback for the income trust or asset trust for Medicaid. Funds can then be utilized by the Theresa Foundation for the benefit of children with special needs and to really fulfill our mission. And over the last decade, the funds we've been able to utilize to help those individuals really primarily has come from your support, the beneficiaries who established these trusts, and the residuaries then that followed. All right. Now I'm going to move to the next slide here so that Danielle can speak to us about the administration of our Theresa Pooled Trust.
Thank you, Vincent. I appreciate the kind words that you said about us and my team. So a little
Well, I
background
only
on.
speak the truth. I only speak the truth.
Thank you. A little background regarding CLC Foundation. We also were founded back in 1992 by a social worker who saw the need in our community to create some asset protection for individuals who were receiving Medicaid, who also were employed in the community. So his goal at the time of establishing a pooled trust in Mount Kisco was to make sure that the local individuals with disabilities who worked in the community could protect their assets while maintaining their Medicaid eligibility. And over the last 30 plus years, we have grown to service over 400 beneficiaries a year throughout New York State, as well as throughout the rest of the United States. We have a staff here of 10 individuals with varying educational backgrounds, including attorneys, social workers, and accountants, to prepare and work with our beneficiaries and be extremely accessible and informative when we talk and work with them. So our main goal is the accessibility for the individuals, their beneficiaries, as well as their advocates, to speak to a representative, but also have access to their information. So we do have an online portal for all of our beneficiaries and families to log in, create accounts, and they could view all activity, any disbursements, any deposits that are made. And this also is helpful when doing an annual Medicaid recertification, as well as any Social Security recertifications that an individual may have to complete. We also work with a credit card program. So our beneficiaries have that independence and direct access to funds when they are trying to go shopping and utilizing their funds on a day-to-day basis. Next slide, Vincent. So our three main goals when we get a beneficiary into our pooled trust is really just to get to know them. This helps us as a trustee determining how we can best support them with the disbursements that we allow. Operating a pooled trust and a special needs trust is extremely regulated with the Department of Health, HRA, and Social Security. So our goal is always to make sure that the beneficiaries maintain the public entitlements in which they are eligible for. or that they're planning to be eligible for. So our goal is to get to know each beneficiary, what they currently receive in public entitlements, such as Medicaid, SSI, SSDI, food stamps, even Section 8 housing. And we keep track of that using our database in here, and that helps us determine what disbursements we are allowed to pay for from trust monies. We also look towards the beneficiary's natural supports and advocates, whether or not the individual has family, if they have a social worker, if they reside in a supported setting, such as a group home or Section 8. These natural supports help us as a trustee determine good judgment calls when we make disbursement activity. Is the individual living a healthy lifestyle? Can we support them in providing additional supports outside their routine expenses? Should we perform a wellness check? Other things, other activities, ways that we can naturally support them in their day-to-day life. And obviously the biggest one is creating a budget. Depending on the type of trust that we are administering, the budget is key. For those beneficiaries that have a surplus income trust, the budget is always going to be typically the money in is spent throughout the month. So that deposit is the surplus income, making them Medicaid eligible. And then we look at the natural expenses that they have in the home, whether that be their electricity, food, mortgage. We use the trust monies to help support them to live at home and maintain their lifestyle. Individuals that have an asset trust, those expenses are typically covered outside their Medicaid and other health insurance provides. So those are more for supplemental needs. And that's an excellent way that the trust can support more recreational activities, travel, extensive medical equipment that is not covered by their health insurance. Typically, when a beneficiary is trying to access their funds, we encourage them to contact their trust officer via telephone, via email, or using their portal. This way we can ask for documentation of the request. And if there's anything that we feel may be excessive, that's when we utilize their natural supports. You know, are they making sound decisions? Is there something that we can assist in making sure that we maintain that natural budget for the beneficiaries? Our goal is always to try to maintain the pooled trust for as long as we can to ensure that the beneficiary is being taken care of for as long as they can. So again, we're trying to encourage that the beneficiaries make sound decisions, and we're always there to support them. Here at CLC Foundation, we do have an investment manager who is assigned specifically to ensure conservative and safe investment strategies to ensure that the volatility of the stock market does not negatively impact the budget that every beneficiary will receive. So we work hand in hand with the investment manager to ensure great returns on the accounts, and that way the longevity of the trust will continue forward. Next slide, Vincent. So part of the responsibility here at CLC Foundation is also the main back office or administration work that we do. So there is an annual tax filing that we are responsible for each of the pooled trusts. We also complete annual accountings that are required by sometimes the court, HRA, Social Security, sometimes your advocate, or the remainder beneficiary for a third-party trust. We are always here to help support and document all of the trust activity for the interested parties.
So Danielle, for example, on recertification, the local Medicaid agency would want an accounting, and that would
is
be something
correct.
you would provide?
That is correct. That is correct. So we would either provide it directly to the beneficiary if they are doing their recertification on their own and independently, or one of our trust officers would reach out directly to that local office and provide that information and possible bank statements or statements of support, and backup receipts if they had any questions regarding any disbursements. So we do require copies of all disbursement activity to be filed here in the office. So receipts, invoices are all kept safe here in our office. We also work closely with our co-trustee. So they complete an in-depth annual audit on all of our trust activity and a review of our policies and procedures. It's our goal to maintain full transparency with all of you, as well as our board of directors, to ensure that we are doing current and best practices and keeping all of our staff fully educated and informed on the current laws monitoring pooled trusts and special needs trusts. Thank you.
Thank you. You did a great job being so succinct in summarizing the trust administration process, which is so important. I mean, there's a lot of thought that has to be put in making decisions about how to expend funds and what can or cannot be expended under the laws. And so that's always a challenge for you as the trustee. But you're always doing it in the best interest of the beneficiary, and that's what's so important.
Absolutely.
So what makes our Theresa Pooled Trust different? Three thoughts here. One, and I may ask Danielle and Lizzie to chime in here. So the first is that we, as a foundation, have implemented best practice standards in the maintenance and administration of our Theresa Pooled Trust. We've learned a lot from unfortunate damage that was caused by the center down in Florida, and we have maintained our processes, which definitely protected our Theresa beneficiaries, and we've learned on what additional steps we should be taking. And as Danielle mentioned, tremendous oversight when it comes to the financials. So, Danielle, what would you say makes us different?
Well, I mean, just to really echo that point, Vincent, it's so critical that we are aware of all of the rules and regulations, the requirements in administering a pooled trust, and ensuring that we do that every day. But not only in our practice, but in explaining to the beneficiaries why. You know, we want to be fully transparent with the beneficiaries as well as their social workers, referring attorneys. You know, the pooled trust is their money, and they sometimes have a hard time understanding why they can't access it or purchasing certain things or certain opportunities. And our goal is not to be the no, but our goal is to work with them in figuring out how we can get them the supports that they need. So we are going above and beyond to make sure every beneficiary is taken care of and can utilize and access the money that they have in their pooled trust in a beneficial way, as long as you know, meeting all of the rules and regulations in that process.
Wonderful. And the third thought deals with the fact that there are over 20 pooled trusts in New York State. So there are a lot of options for you to consider when suggesting different pooled trusts to your clients or individuals that you serve. And I think it's really important to focus on, well, what happens with the residuary funds? How are they utilized? Is that not-for-profit also focused on the use of those funds in the appropriate way, the charitable purpose and mission of the organization? So, Lizzie, one more time, how those residuary funds are expended in New York?
Those residuary funds go to support programs in dance, art, music, drama, and recreation for children with special needs. And these are programs, I mean, to focus specifically in New York, these are programs you might know, the Anchor program, Tilly's Art Center, Long Island Children's Museum, Alvin Ailey, New York City Ballet. There are so many. I could talk to you about these programs and these kids for another hour and a half, although I would not. But I will say that no one likes to lose a loved one, and I know of that. And when you're faced with that, we chose as a family that we have created this foundation in memory of Theresa, and we're dedicated to her and her legacy and bringing smiles to children with special needs like Theresa. And so your clients have that choice to make as well. And so sometimes when we're faced with difficult and sad life circumstances, you can put a smile on a child's face. And that's why you choose the Theresa Foundation to have an impact and join us with a legacy of supporting kids with special needs.
Thank you, Lizzie. I'm not seeing any questions in the Q&A, but that doesn't mean you are prevented from asking questions after the program. Just contact us, and we're happy to do our best to answer any questions that you have. Also, you could follow us, being the Theresa Foundation, on social media. Here are some links for you to consider. And then lastly, we want to thank everyone for attending our program today. We are there for you. We want to be a resource. We do provide in-house training. We do provide educational programs that if you would like us to come out and speak about the pooled trusts, we're definitely available to you. We want to be that resource. Let us know what you need, what questions you would like answered, what services you would like to see us provide. We are open-minded. We want to be the best at what we're doing. And so I thank you all for taking the time today, your precious time, to be with our panel. And I thank everyone on behalf of Lizzie, Danielle, and all the kids that you're helping through the Theresa Pooled Trust. Have a great day.